Hey guys, Joe Pye here at Advanced Innovations. You know there's a thing going on right now called the Scrap Wood Challenge being hosted by Maker's Mob, and although I am not one of the 6 genius craftsmen that are displaying their work, I decided to just throw a piece of wood in my CNC machine and see what we could do as far as taking a piece of scrap, using this piece of machinery, turning it into something cool. Started off with a 4x4 about 18 inches long, and that's it right there on the floor. That is an old post from a deck that I just tore down. I've got it sitting in the machine as we speak. Program is written. I am using one of the single flute down spiral down cut bits that I showed you in a previous video. And this is what we're going to attack. Now I know a lot of you woodworkers out there are going to start throwing shapers and planers and dado heads and all kinds of other technical stuff at me, but you know, half the fun of doing something unusual is doing it in an unusual way, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So let me put this camera on a tripod. We will kick in the monitor and we're going to carve up some pieces out of this, and I think you're going to like what you see when it's all over. It's going to be a very unorthodox way to do it. At least I've never seen it done this way. So let's check it out. Alright, I'm going to clean out the grooves on these. I'm going to run that program one more time to take any flex out of it. And then we're going to saw a few pieces off and see what happens. Let's take it to the bandsaw. Alright, we're off the CNC, and I ended up with 7 of each of these pieces right here. Now that is not how the multiples work out in the final assembly. We're going to need 63 total pieces. So on the parts that did not come out evenly in the multiples that were created, I will create from the spares that are left over. For instance, I only need 3 of these guys right here. And as you can see, I can get one of these out of here. I saw the ends off. I need 12 of these, I believe. And you can get that right out of here. You can also get that out of here or out of here. So by getting creative with the scrap that you have left over or the leftover pieces, you can achieve the quantities that you need. So I'm going to clean these pieces up. We'll dry fit it, take a look at where we're headed. Alright, I'm ready to stain these pieces. There are 3 groups of 21, 63 total pieces, and each one of these groups is identical in its part content and shape. Now I'm glad that I did it the way I did it with the CNC machine, because it gives me a whole new respect for all you guys out there that use wood routers, CNC wood routers. If you were paying attention, if you watched it, you saw on one of the diagonal cuts a large hanger blow off the corner of one of these pieces here. And it did considerable damage to the final part. Well, that's unacceptable on many levels. So those parts were reproduced on a bandsaw. We had to get all the ugly corners off. This is rather impressive when it's assembled. And to have some blown off corners on some of the pieces, that just wasn't right. So these parts are symmetrically clocked. If you were to stain this way, that way, it would be wrong when it goes together. So it is important to make sure that they are all aligned correctly. Now, as far as the 60-degree angles are concerned, let's grab a couple of the setup pieces off this stack here. When you're looking to set up a bandsaw for a precision angle, and in this case, all of these angles on these parts are 60 degrees. So how do you do that? Well, you just wing it. Set your slide to 30 degrees, 60 degrees, whatever. Run 3 of them, and then put them together. If they sit nice and tight, then you've got a correct angle. If the angles are off, and when you put it together, you're going to get something like this, well, then you know you need to make an adjustment one way or the other depending on the result. So that's a real easy way to get a good 60-degree angle. Cut 3 pieces, made them up. Look for the gaps or absence of. Simple. I've got 3 different color stains. I wish I had 3 different color woods like some of the Maker's Mob guys, but I do not. So since this is a old fence post, this is a support post for an overhang at a house in Texas. Going to stain these up 3 different colors real quick, let them dry, and we'll put them together. Alright guys, if you got to wear gloves for any particular reason, for contaminants, staining, health issues, whatever, soak your hands in baby powder before you try to put the gloves on. It'll take some of the edge off, the gloves will slip right on, and your hands feel a lot better after wearing them for a while. Baby powder, rubber gloves. Perfect. One of the things that I enjoy about this particular graphic is, since it is mounted to a square board, you can hang it any which way you want to. This is the conventional way, but as you rotate this graphic and the black moves to the opposite side or even to the top, it takes on a whole different appearance. And although it looks very three-dimensional, it's only about 1/8 of an inch thick, maybe a little thicker. And you can see that as the dark side changes, the perception of this thing really does take on a new personality. So that's one of the characteristics about this that makes it my favorite. And an elongated version of this was actually used in the motion picture RoboCop back in the early 80s, but it was done in laser graphic instead of wood.